Elton Trueblood was a Quaker theologian, served as a chaplain at both Harvard and Stanford. And in a good Quaker fashion, he once said that the way we use power is far more important in the long run than the amount of power that we have. I thought about that this week as I read it, and I couldn't help but think about our current political situation. We've got two campaigns that are running, and the argument all too often seems to be which candidate will put America in the best place politically on the global scale, which will be most capable of putting the United States of America in a position of power. The concern seems to be almost exclusively on how much power, how much influence do we have, how will we have enough power to combat these enemies that we've identified in China and Russia and North Korea and Iran. Will we have enough power? But you know what I don't ever hear anybody ask is, how are we going to wield the power that we have rightly? We focus so much on whether or not we have power, whether or not we have influence, or a concern for some waning influence and power in the world with the rise of some of these other influential countries. But we don't ever talk about how we use the power we have rightly. What purpose is power if we're not going to use it to build a better world? Why wouldn't we want to use our power and our influence to make sure that hungry people have enough food, and that there's clean water, and that the global warming or global climate change is being addressed, and to help work diplomatically to take care of refugees and resist violence and put an end to human trafficking. And why are those sorts of things never on the table to talk about? Why is it only about how much power we have, and not whether or not we're using that power morally, and using it correctly, using it rightly? And one of the most frustrating things for me is that oftentimes the Christian faith gets used and taken to promote this idea of needing to have this great power. But when we look at Jesus forwent power, became nothing, was put to death by power, and power tried to invalidate him, in large part because Jesus wasn't as concerned with power in and of itself, but was more concerned with rightness. I am not qualified to tell anyone how to vote. Even if I were, I'm not so sure I would try to. But as Christians, I wonder if maybe we ought to consider demanding of our candidates that they focus more on how power is used well and how it's used rightly than we are on how much power we might have.